There's a line in the final episode of this final season that goes something like, "There's no such thing as perfect," but I feel like this is as close to perfect as it gets. Anyway, let's talk about Ted Lasso. I know it's been a while since my last video, but I've been a bit busy, but I've definitely been meaning to talk about Ted Lasso for a while now. I know the season finale came out weeks ago, but yeah, Ted Lasso will go down as one of my favorite series. Now, I remember in one of my early videos, if anyone watched, I promise this isn't a football channel, but I am a football fan, and Ted Lasso is a football series. So yeah, naturally I'd watch it. And now that the series has ended, I thought I'd just give my thoughts on it and try and review it. For those who don't know, Ted Lasso is about Ted Lasso, who is an American college football coach who is brought in to become manager of a Premier League football side. This is, of course, a fictional Premier League football side called AFC Richmond, but funnily enough, they use the ground of Crystal Palace, an actual Premier League football side, as the location for the home matches. Yeah, just a fun little bit of trivia there for those who didn't recognize Sellers Park immediately. So Ted and his assistant, Coach Beard, are brought in to manage the football club after the new owner, Rebecca Welton, played by Hannah Waddingham, wins ownership of the club in a divorce settlement with her husband Rupert. And her initial intentions in the first season was to actually have Ted ruin the club because he knows absolutely nothing about football. He doesn't even understand the offside rule. And throughout the entire series, we see Ted come to grips with the game and also turn into one of the best coaches in the league. But not because he's a tactical genius or anything, but more just through his sheer positive personality. So initially, the Ted Lasso character was created for a skit for, I believe, MSNBC, who were going to broadcast the Premier League in America. And in that skit, Ted was hired as the coach of Tottenham, which is hilarious because, of course, it's Tottenham. If anyone's going to bottle anything, it's Tottenham. So it was wildly successful, and now it's been turned into a TV show. And yeah, Jason Sudeikis reprises his role as Ted Lasso and is amazing in all 3 seasons. But surrounding Ted, there was also a incredible roster of characters. First of all, Coach Beard, who's his right-hand man, who's been there with him since his college football days. Next, of course, is Rebecca Welton, who is the now owner of this football club, initially reluctant owner of this football club. And there's also a great cast of other supporting characters like Roy Kent, the man, Roy Kent. I mean, Brett Goldstein is an incredible comedic writer, and him being able to flex his comedic muscles in this role is a joy to watch. And then you also have Jamie Todd, who's the superstar at AFC Richmond, Manchester City superstar, Jamie Todd. You also have Keely, who started out as a model and then becomes the PR person for the club. And on top of that, you have the boy wonder himself, the Wunderkind, Nathan Shelley. Plus, there are also other minor, maybe major supporting characters like Samuel Bisanya, who has an entire arc to himself, Dani Rojas, who brings the passion for football from Mexico, and a bunch of other incredible characters as well. Trent Krim, how could I forget? Over these past 3 seasons of the show, being on Apple TV, so you have to get an Apple TV subscription to watch it, is just managed to capture, I would say, my heart and probably the hearts of millions, because a lot of people watch this show. So I just want to go through a summary of the entire show and then focus more on season 3, which is the season just finished, which is possibly the final season of Ted Lasso that we will get, or at least the final season about AFC Richmond featuring Coach Ted. So as I mentioned earlier in the video, Ted is brought in to manage this football club because Rebecca wants to run it into the ground just to piss off her ex-husband who used to be owner. And he comes in with zero knowledge, and none of the players respect him, especially Roy Kent, who is in this universe a Premier League legend. He is very clearly based on Roy Keane. And yeah, over the course of, for the first season, it's been a while since I watched the first season, but over the course of the first season, Ted gets them to believe in him, believe in themselves, and believe in the team. And I'm gonna go into a bit of spoilers for the first and second seasons. So for those who have not watched, you can go and watch those first before you come back to the video. And towards the end of the first season, AFC Richmond get relegated to the second tier of English football, and they have to claw their way back up in the second season, which they successfully do. And now we're here in the third season, AFC Richmond back in the Premier League, back in the big time. And season 3 is a ride, because now we have all these characters on this positive wave of promotion, and we are here to see where they take these characters. Towards the end of season 2, Roy and Keely got together. How will their relationship play out? Will Rebecca manage to overcome Rupert? And I don't mean just win over him, but just move on. Ted is also struggling. In the earlier seasons, he's shown to have severe anxiety and panic attacks, and he's also living quite far away from his family. He's also going through a divorce, and he's far away from his son, and all of that is just affecting him. While he does have a positive demeanor, he's not always happy. And yeah, I want to touch upon that, which is Ted's positivity. Like, Ted is a generally positive person. He's your Ned Flanders type, but he's not a toxically positive person. He is shown to be human. He's just a positive human, but he has his downs, he has his struggles, he has his insecurities, he has his problems, but he manages to overcome them, not just by himself, but with the help of the supporting cast and crew. And talking about season 3 as well, Roy Kent, who starts off basically a Roy Keane clone with absolutely no personality. His only personality is that he's a rough around the edges, tough guy, hyper masculine dude who, does not let his emotions show and swears a fuck ton. Throughout these 3 seasons, he's learned to be more open with his emotions. He's learned to try new things. He's learned to accept Ted. And his character arc is probably the second best when it comes to the players or former players, because the best, we all know, is Jamie Todd. And Jamie Todd starts off as the most horrendous, self-absorbed person you could ever meet. He is a diva, he's a superstar, he believes he is the very best. But throughout these few seasons, he's had some humbling experiences that have made him genuinely want to be a good person and a good footballer. He's no longer a diva. He's grown up, and he changes as a character from a complete dickhead to one of my favorite characters. Is amazing. And one recurring joke that they make throughout season 3 is that in season 1 we all assume that Jamie is a complete idiot, but throughout season 3 there are just moments where he demonstrates that, hey, I'm not a complete idiot, I know what I'm talking about. And he shows off some of his intellect, which wasn't really visible in seasons 1 and 2. But he's still a footballer, and in this season we get to see his ego. Yep, Ego from Blue Lock would be proud. I gotta mention Blue Lock. I just gotta mention Blue Lock at least once. So yeah, he's got his own ego. At the start of this season, they bring in basically a Zlatan Ibrahimovic clone in Zava. His ego is tested this season, as he wants to step up and be the main man, and there's a bit of competition there. And also, Rebecca goes through an incredible arc where she learns to accept that she doesn't need to beat Rupert, she just needs to be herself and allow herself to exist. And she comes into her own in her role as the owner of AFC Richmond. Coach Beard is always hilarious, as always. And yeah, joining the backroom staff for season 3 is Trent Krim, the reporter. He's resigned from the Independent. Yeah, and now he's part of the backroom staff, which is incredible. He just adds something more to the cast. He's not always at the forefront of everything, but his input is just amazing when it's there. And towards the end of last season, one of the biggest twists was Nathan Shelley, the Wunderkind himself, basically feeling unappreciated or unloved by Ted, especially after Roy came in to join the coaching team. And his insecurities led him to rip up the iconic Believe poster that was in the dressing room and switch allegiances and work for Rupert at West Ham. His arc will play out. We know, if you know anything about Ted Lasso, you know he'll be redeemed in the end. It's just how will that happen, and the way they handled it. I have a few gripes about that, but the way they handled it is just like, he's betrayed the people that gave him the chances to be this big time Premier League manager, essentially, in the last season. But deep down, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. He's raised as a good guy, and yeah, that comes true towards the end. So yeah, we know he'll turn good. And Nick Mohammed, I did not know, but he is an incredible actor. There's just some scenes, especially the episodes focused on Nathan, where Nick Mohammed, man, he carries those scenes very well, because it is on him, and he does a splendid job. So yeah, as you can see from me just gushing about these characters, about this show, is just, I love these characters. I want to see more from them. The season ended in a semi-conclusive way, which is what makes me believe. And it's been rumored that this is the final season for Ted Lasso. Will there be more projects for AFC Richmond going forward? I hope so. I love these characters, and I want to see them again, and I want to see what they get up to next. AFC Richmond are finally in the Champions League. Maybe they could get, I don't know, maybe the producers could get the rights to the Champions League and make a season focused on the Champions League. So one thing that is a point of contention is one of the players is revealed to be gay. And for me, I believe they handled that entire situation masterfully. Because as we know, in football, especially in Europe, not a lot of players came out as gay. I think recently one Polish player came out as gay, and online reaction, it's behind an anonymous profile. People just spew hate, but I feel like the show handled that really well and really tastefully done, and it doesn't feel shoved in your face. If that's a deal breaker for you, I'm sorry, you're missing out on an amazing show, an amazing season, just because of this one thing. And it's never really thrown into your face. So I hope that you can get over that and enjoy the show, and maybe even come to understand or relate to people who are part of the LGBT community. So my biggest gripe for season 3 is the pacing. I feel it started off slow and then it felt a bit rushed towards the end. All the redemption arcs and the story arcs and the character arcs, especially in the last few episodes, felt a bit rushed. I think if they had 5 more episodes for the season, they would have been able to take their time and properly earn those redemption arcs and wrap things up probably even better than they did this one. And I think this one wrapped up damn near perfectly. And yeah, one more thing I want to touch on. Pep Guardiola. The absolute mad lads. They managed to get Pep Guardiola to star on the series. I thought they were just gonna like put some random coach and maybe just, I don't know. I didn't know what I was expecting, especially when the Manchester City match came on, and they actually had Pep Guardiola on the show, which is an amazing moment. This show has just grown to the point where you can get Pep Guardiola on your show. And it's grown to the point where they have a Nike sponsorship on their shirts. It's grown to the point where they're in FIFA. And yeah, it's a massive show. It deserves the hype. It's an incredible time. So if you're looking for a football series that isn't too bogged down in the football aspects, but has great character drama, has great comedy, and just fun football moments, yeah, I think Ted Lasso is an incredible show, and you should watch it. So just to sum up, Ted Lasso as a series is incredible. The final season does a great job just to tie, a pretty little bow on the entire series. And if you are a fan of football, or you're a fan of Jason Sudeikis, go watch Ted Lasso. I give Ted Lasso a 9 out of 10. So, have you watched Ted Lasso? Have you watched the entire series? Have you finished season 3? Please let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.